Good morning and welcome to our virtual service. My name is Reverend James Parker. It's just such a pleasure to be here with you today. Well, we got a lot to cover and I'm going to jump right in. We're still in our series, The Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes, Part 3. You know, Jesus proved and demonstrated everything he taught. He summarized his teachings in a series of lectures which lasted several days. And it is said that he probably spoke 2 or 3 times a day. This has become known as the Sermon on the Mount. And he does not say, you must do this, or you shall not do that. He speaks of transforming, or be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. For instance, his declaration of blessed is a pledge of divine reward centered around the central character of righteousness or right thinking. In other words, it is his portrayal of the spiritual attitude or states of being of people who are right with God. These states of being or beatitudes, also known as instructions for happiness and prosperity, are potent life lessons for us. They are also binding agents or the glue that manifests greater love and fulfillment for us and others. This week, we begin our lesson with the 4th beatitude. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Right off, this is one of the most important and practical teachings and proverbs of Jesus' ministry. This precept is Jesus' lesson on self-help and spiritual maturity. Consider this, if you will. Often people came to Jesus for help. It's no different than how many of us are today, vehemently seeking an answer, cure, or relief to our life, health, relationships, or finances. Yet here, Jesus is telling us that if we really want help and relief, we must transform. This beatitude says we must do something. In fact, it's a do-it-yourself method leading us to take the righteous path and come into a knowing that life is an inside job. It is the path of awakening that takes faith, vision, and acceptance in order to discover harmony, reconciliation, and happiness. We must choose righteousness, right thinking, or being right with God above all else. Only then will the added benefits of wisdom, understanding, wealth, prosperity, good judgment, and a longer life unfold from within us. He's saying, seek the kingdom of God, thirst and hunger for it within the framework of righteousness or thinking rightly, and you will be blessed and empowered to create and manifest the authenticity, spiritual abundance, and external treasures and experiences you seek for your enduring joy. In the book of 1 Kings, Solomon, a righteous young king, is said to be overwhelmed with anxiety and stress over the power and responsibility of ruling over a kingdom handed down to him by David. He wanted to be a good and righteous ruler. You could say he hungered and thirsted for it. While struggling to sleep one night, God came to him in a dream and asked Solomon what he wanted. In 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 9, Solomon said, give your servant an understanding heart to govern your people and to always distinguish between right and wrong. In the Message Bible, it says, God was delighted with Solomon's response and said to him, because you have asked for this and haven't hungered after a long life or riches or the doom of your enemies, but have righteously asked for the ability to lead well, I'll give you what you've asked for. I'm giving you a wise and mature heart. There's never been one like you before, and there'll not be one like you after. As a bonus, I'm giving you both the wealth and glory you didn't ask for. There's not a king anywhere who will come up to your mark. And if you stay on course, keeping your eye on the map of life and the signs of God, I'll also give you a long life. I imagine Solomon woke up and said something like, what a dream. Tell me, what are you seeking in your life? What role does God play in your plan for a better life? What is your attitude or state of being? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is there a major shift in your thinking that needs to take place? Friends, when you are being righteous in your thoughts and actions, right with God in your impulses, desires, and decisions. When you use right thinking and turn away from anything that keeps you in a lack and limited or negative state of mind, not only will you be filled from your hunger and thirst with what you at first desire, but also your gifts and treasures will be multiplied in abundance like Solomon. Your cup will overflow. Righteousness is the one great word of the Bible. It is an equalizer. It's designed to modify a frequency response, to compensate for distortion, miscalculations, bad judgment, falsification, bias, and misrepresentation. Righteousness means more than just being right or one with moral or principled conduct. It's also about right thinking and right usefulness in all matters, in every aspect of your life. It is a universal call to live right on the inside so that you may manifest everything right on the outside. It's the boundless and unlimited truth that outside things are but the expression or the outpicturing of our inner thoughts and beliefs. Because with every thought, we are shaping and molding our lives and experiences. In Unity, we say, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Therefore, if you want health, you must hunger and thirst with righteousness to think health. For destructive emotions and negative thoughts are the primary causes of disease. If you want spiritual unfoldment, you must think spiritual thoughts, God thoughts, and give your attention to God rather than to limitation. If you wish to be loved and experience goodwill, you must first think thoughts of love, forgiveness, and goodwill toward yourself and others. If you want material prosperity, you must make a habit of first thinking prosperity thoughts. For the things that keeps most people poor are the sheer habits of lack, limitation, and poverty thinking. If you want to bring your conditions into harmony, good vibrations, balance, and happiness, you must first plan to have harmony and happiness, and then the outer things will flow to you with ease. There's a story of a righteous old man named Richard. He retired and bought a modest home near a junior high school. He spent the first few weeks of his retirement in peace and quiet and contentment. Then a new school year began. The very next afternoon, 3 young boys full of youthful and youthful school enthusiasm came down his street beating happily on every trash can they encountered. The drumming continued day after day until finally Richard decided it was time to take some action. Using his thinking, the next afternoon he walked out to meet the young drummers as they banged their way down the street. Stopping them, he said, "You kids are a lot of fun. I like seeing you express your exuberance like this. In fact, I used to do the same thing when I was your age. Will you do me a favor? I'll give you each $2 if you'll promise to come around every day and do your thing." The kids were elated and continued to do a bang-up job on the trash cans. After a couple of days, the old-timer greeted the kids again, but this time he had a sad smile on his face. "This recession is really putting a big dent in my income," he told them. "From now on, I'll only be able to pay you $1 to beat on the cans." The noisemakers were obviously displeased, but they accepted his offer and they continued on each afternoon with their ruckus. A couple days later, Richard approached them again as they drummed their way down the street. "Look," he said, "I haven't received my Social Security check yet, so I'm not going to be able to give you any more than 25 cents. Will that be okay?" "Only a lousy quarter?" the drum leader shouted. "If you think we're going to waste our time beating these cans around for a quarter, you've got another thing coming." "No way, mister, we quit." Yes, Richard certainly had another thing coming. He enjoyed peace and tranquility for the rest of his days. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. All we have to do is think good thoughts. Friends, blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled means those who stick to the idea of right thinking shall have their lives transformed. Why? Because when you hunger and thirst for righteousness, you'll attract the thoughts, attitude, and divine ideas that will always create and manifest peace, harmony, and outer experiences of your desires. In the book of James, I love that book. Chapter 2, verse 26, it says, faith without works is dead. To hunger and thirst is to desire, to want to be helped, to awaken to faith, vision, desire, and acceptance. Yes, this action calls you to take positive steps toward being filled with what you truly need and long to have and experience. But mostly, it calls for an abiding faith. It calls for the belief that as you hunger and thirst, all things will become possible. In fact, if you desire to be filled, you must righteously hunger and thirst for God's response to your needs. You must have faith and believe with every fiber of your being. In some cases, you must face the harsh reality that you created the conditions in the first place. The storms, chaos, challenges, breakups, problems, or bad circumstances. And only by letting go of the expectation of something outside of yourself fixing your circumstances, only by letting go of your victim mentality and doing the inner work, can you overcome your difficulties and receive the help you desire. Ultimately, if you want to transform your life and circumstances, it's up to you to turn within, change your ways, and fervently seek the kingdom of heaven. There's a story of a mystic in India who used an interesting technique to impress his students with the importance of to hunger and thirst for righteousness. He would take a student into the river, plunge his head under the water, and forcibly hold it there until his lungs were almost full to bursting. Finally, after letting him up, the teacher would ask, "What were you thinking about? What did you want more than anything?" The student would always reply, "Air. I wanted air." "Ah," the teacher would say, "and when you want God as much as you just wanted air, you will be filled." Friends, our life lessons are not always pretty. Sometimes you must hunger and thirst and grapple and struggle. This is because true self-help compels us to make a righteous effort. And if you are steadfast and hold to the beliefs that your blessings are on the way, you will be filled. Remind yourself that you are divine and the potential for wholeness and prosperity are always within you. To come into oneness with God, sometimes you must hunger and thirst, and that's okay, because anything worth having is worth working for. To be filled is to find harmony and completion. To be filled is to be satisfied. And to be satisfied is to have your expectations, needs, or desires met. It's reaching utter fulfillment in your life and affairs. Your work, or your mission, if you choose to accept it today, is to prove your ability to righteously seek God with all your might, to thirst and hunger for the thoughts, divine ideas, maturity, and substance of spirit so that you can be absolutely and completely satisfied. This is the path to your source, where you will receive prosperity, happiness, and a longer life. It is your way to co-create and experience heaven on earth. Begin today. Reach within with everything you got. Challenge yourself to go all in and don't quit. As you mobilize your thoughts and efforts toward connecting with the spirit within you, you will be lifted up and totally satisfied. Your gifts and desires will be numbered beyond your beliefs, and your life will be abundantly enriched, preserved, and expanded. You will be filled to overflowing. Friends, are you willing to do this with me today? Well, thank you all, and God bless you.